Z. The waiter placed the menu gently in front of Marcus Hill, offering a polite nod before turning away. Marcus sat alone at a small round table near the window of Riviere, a high-end restaurant tucked along a quiet Chicago street. Outside, evening traffic rolled by slowly, headlights reflecting against the glass. Inside, the air smelled of rosemary, garlic, and expensive wine. Soft jazz played low enough to feel intimate rather than intrusive. Marcus unfolded the menu carefully. 2. The paper was thick, textured, the kind that told you this meal would cost more than it should. He didn't mind. He had chosen this place deliberately. He was early, always was. Punctuality had been drilled into him since childhood, taught as both a virtue and a shield. If he was early, no one could accuse him of disrespect. If he was quiet, no one could call him aggressive. If he dressed simply, no one could say he was trying too hard. He wore a charcoal sweater, dark slacks, and polished shoes. No logos. No flash, just clean, intentional simplicity. Marcus scanned the menu slowly, not because he was overwhelmed, but because he liked to take his time. Tonight mattered. It had been 10 years since he'd sat across from his father at a dinner table. The chair opposite him remained empty. Around him, the restaurant filled steadily. A couple laughed near the bar. A group of businessmen clinked glasses, voices loud and confident. 2 women in designer coats leaned close together, studying their phones. Marcus noticed things easily. He always had. He noticed the way the waiter stopped briefly at the host stand, glancing toward Marcus's table. He noticed the hostess lean in and whisper something back. He noticed the brief pause, the subtle shift. A different waiter approached Marcus's table a moment later, younger. Nervous. "Good evening," he said. "May I, take that menu for just a moment?" Marcus looked up, confused but calm. "Sure, why?" The waiter hesitated, eyes flicking toward the host stand. "We have some VIP guests arriving shortly. We may need to rearrange seating." Mockster kept his expression neutral. "I was seated here." "Yes, sir, just one moment." The waiter gently slid the menu away and walked off. Marcus sat still, hands folded on the table. He didn't chase the explanation. He didn't protest. He waited. Minutes passed. A well-dressed white couple entered, greeted warmly by the hostess. She smiled wide, touching the woman's arm familiarly as she guided them toward Marcus's section. They were seated 2 tables away. Menus were placed in front of them immediately. Wine glasses followed. Marcus's table remained bare. A familiar feeling settled into his chestnut anger. Not surprise, but recognition. The quiet awareness of a pattern repeating itself. The original waiter returned, avoiding Marcus's eyes. "Can I get you something to drink?" he asked. "Yes," Marcus replied. "Water is fine." "And I'd like my menu back." The waiter nodded quickly. "Of course." He returned with water. "No menu." Marcus sipped slowly, his gaze drifting to the entrance again. His father would be late. Marcus had expected that. Some things never changed. Admit. When the hostess finally approached Marcus's table, her smile was professional, but distant. "Sir," she said, "we're going to need to move you to a different section." Marcus looked up. "Why?" "This table is reserved." "We're seated here already," Marcus replied calmly. She nodded. "Yes, but there's been a change." "A change for whom?" The hostess blinked, clearly not expecting the question. "For our evening arrangements." Marcus gestured gently to the surrounding tables. "There are other open tables." She smiled tightly. "Those are also reserved." Mark had leaned back slightly. "Then why was I seated here in the first place?" The hostess's smile faltered. "I'm just following policy, sir." "I understand," Marcus said. "Then I'll follow mine." "Which is?" she asked. "To remain where I was placed." Her jaw tightened. "I'll get the manager." "Please do." The hostess walked away briskly. The restaurant's energy shifted subtly. Nearby conversations lowered. Glances grew longer. Marcus felt eyes on him, not hostile, but curious, cautious. As if he were an unexpected variable. He checked his watch. 7:40. His father was late, but Marcus stayed. The manager arrived moments later. Tall man in a tailored suit, confidence radiating from him like a cologne. "Good evening," the manager said. "I'm Daniel. I understand there's been a misunderstanding." Marcus nodded. "It seems so." Daniel folded his hands. "This table is part of a reserved section. We'll be happy to relocate you a day." "I don't wish to be relocated," Marcus replied. "I wish to dine." Daniel smiled politely. "Sir, we pride ourselves on our atmosphere." "So do I," Marcus said evenly. Daniel studied him more closely now. "May I ask if you have a reservation?" "Yes, Underhill. 7:30. Daniel glanced toward the host stand. "I don't see that reservation." Marcus pulled out his phone and turned the screen toward him. "Here it is." Daniel hesitated, then nodded. "I see. Unfortunately, there's been a mix-up." "A mix-up that involved taking my menu away," Marcus said. Daniel's smile stiffened. "That was premature." Marcus leaned forward slightly. "Why?" Daniel paused just long enough to answer without lying, but not long enough to admit the truth. "We anticipated hyperfill guests." Marcus nodded. "And I wasn't one of them." Daniel said nothing. Marcus exhaled slowly. "May I have my menu back?" Daniel hesitated, then nodded toward the waiter. "Bring the menu." The waiter returned it carefully, as though it were fragile. Marcus unfolded it again. "B." The manager lingered a moment, then walked away. Around him, the restaurant resumed its rhythm. But something had shifted. The water glass was refilled too often. The waiter hovered awkwardly. Service was polite but strained. Marcus didn't mind. He ordered calmly. Still, his father hadn't arrived. At 8:10, the door opened again. An older black man stepped inside, silver hair, broad shoulders, wearing a tailored navy suit that fit like it belonged to him. His presence was unhurried but commanding, the kind of man who didn't need to announce himself. Marcus stood immediately. "Dad." His father smiled, warmth cutting through years of distance. "Marcus." They hugged briefly, awkwardly, honestly. The restaurant watched. The manager noticed. The hostess stiffened. They were seated again, this time together. Marcus's father looked around. "Nice place." Marcus smiled faintly. "It is." A waiter approached quickly, almost too quickly. Menus were offered again, as if Marcus hadn't already memorized his ears. Father glanced between them. "Everything okay here?" Marcus considered the question, then answered honestly. "It's improving." His father studied him, then nodded. "Good," they ordered. "As." They waited. His father leaned in slightly. "You chose this place for a reason." Marcus met his eyes. "I did," his father smiled knowingly. "Then let's see what kind of place it really is." Minutes later, a commotion near the entrance caught everyone's attention. A man in an expensive suit had begun, his face flushed red, panic flashing in his eyes. People stood abruptly. Someone shouted for help. Marcus was already on his feet. His father stood too. Marcus reached the man quickly, performing the Heimlich with controlled force. On the second thrust, the obstruction cleared. Applause broke out, louder than before. The manager rushed over, flustered. "Is he okay?" "Yes," Marcus said calmly. The man nodded weakly. "Thank you." The manager turned to Marcus, recognition dawning slowly. "Sir, thank you." Marcus nodded once, two. As dessert arrived on the house, the manager approached, again, visibly humbled. "I owe you an apology," he said quietly. "For earlier?" Marcus looked at him. "Do you understand why?" The manager hesitated, then nodded. "I do." Marcus's father placed a hand on the table. "Then learn from it." The manager swallowed. "We will." As they left the restaurant that night, menus still on every table, Marcus felt something loosen inside him. Not victory. Not revenge. Just clarity. The menu had never been the point. It never was.